Have you ever had that moment where you reach for something, take a step, and suddenly feel a little off balance? Maybe you caught yourself on the edge of a chair, or your heart skipped a beat as you steadied yourself against the wall. It's just a small moment, right? But what if I told you that small moments like these are often the first warning signs? The truth is, after 70, falls don't just happen out of nowhere. They have patterns, reasons, causes we can actually prevent. And here's the eye-opening fact: 90% of falls in older adults happen due to just 4 main reasons. 4. That means if we understand and address these causes, we can dramatically reduce the risk. Imagine the peace of mind that comes with feeling steady on your feet, knowing you're doing everything possible to stay strong, independent, and safe in your own home. Now, before we dive into the first reason falls happen, I want you to think about something. Do you know someone, a friend, a parent, a neighbor, who had a serious fall? Maybe they broke a hip, maybe they never quite regained their confidence afterward. Falls are the #1 reason older adults lose their independence, but they don't have to be. And today, we're going to talk about how you can protect yourself. So let's start with one of the biggest culprits: muscle loss. You might not feel it happening, but after 30, we start losing muscle every single year. By the time we hit 70 or 80, that muscle loss adds up, making it harder to stay balanced, to recover quickly if we trip, and even to stand up from a chair with ease. Think about this. Have you ever tried to step onto a curb and felt like it took more effort than it used to? Or maybe you've noticed your legs feel weaker after sitting for a while. That's muscle loss at work. And if we don't actively fight it, it can sneak up on us, making falls more likely. But here's the good news: this is completely preventable. Even if you feel weaker today, you can build strength back at any age. It doesn't mean you have to go to a gym or start lifting heavy weights. It can be as simple as standing up from a chair without using your hands, doing a few heel raises while brushing your teeth, or walking up and down your hallway a couple of times a day. And let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Margaret, 78 years old. She used to be an avid gardener, but over the years, she noticed she was getting tired more easily. One day, she stumbled on a loose brick and barely caught herself before falling. That was her wake-up call. She started doing small exercises every morning, simple things like balancing on one foot while holding onto the kitchen counter. Within a few months, she felt steadier, stronger, and more confident. That's the power of movement. And the best part? It's never too late to start. But muscle loss isn't the only reason people fall. There's something else, something just as common, but often overlooked. Now, we just talked about muscle loss and how it quietly sneaks up on us, making falls more likely. But there's another reason, one that's even trickier because it doesn't always feel like a problem until it's too late. I'm talking about balance issues. You might be thinking, well, my balance is fine. And maybe it is, until one day, you turn too quickly, step onto uneven ground, or reach for something on a high shelf and suddenly feel a little wobbly. That's how it starts. See, balance isn't just about standing on one foot like a flamingo. It's about how your body reacts when something unexpected happens, like when your foot catches on a rug or when the floor is a little slick from a spill. If your balance isn't strong, your body can't react fast enough to keep you upright. And that's when a fall happens. Think about this. Have you ever walked down the stairs and missed a step? For younger people, their body automatically corrects. But as we get older, that reaction time slows down. If our balance isn't strong, even a small misstep can lead to a dangerous fall. Now, here's something most people don't realize: balance isn't just about your legs. It's controlled by 3 systems in your body: your inner ear, your vision, and the tiny sensors in your muscles and joints that tell your brain where you are in space. If any of these systems aren't working as well as they used to, your balance suffers. Let's say your vision isn't as sharp at night. That makes it harder to see objects in your way, increasing your chances of tripping. Or maybe your inner ear isn't as strong as it used to be, making you feel a little unsteady when you turn your head too quickly. And if your leg muscles aren't firing the way they should, your body won't be able to correct itself if you stumble. It's all connected. But here's the great news. Just like with muscle loss, you can improve your balance at any age. And it doesn't take much. One of the best ways is something called the sit-to-stand exercise. Just sit in a sturdy chair and stand up without using your hands. Then sit back down slowly. Try doing this a few times a day. It strengthens your legs and improves your balance at the same time. Another great trick? Practice standing on one foot while holding onto a counter. Just lift one foot off the ground for a few seconds, then switch sides. Over time, you'll notice you feel more stable. And here's something really simple. When you brush your teeth, stand with your feet closer together than usual. It sounds easy, but you'll notice it challenges your balance in a small, safe way. These little habits add up. I knew a man named George, 82 years old. He had never worried about his balance until he took a small trip over his dog's leash. Luckily, he caught himself, but it scared him enough to start working on his balance. He started practicing standing on one foot every morning while waiting for his coffee to brew. A few months later, he told me he felt more confident walking outside and didn't worry as much about tripping over something small. That's the goal, to feel steady, strong, and sure of yourself. But balance isn't the only thing that puts people at risk for falls. There's another major reason, and it's one that can change from day to day without warning. Now, we've talked about how muscle loss and balance issues can quietly increase the risk of falling. But there's another sneaky culprit, one that changes from day to day, often without warning. And that's medication side effects. This one catches so many people off guard. You take a pill for high blood pressure, or maybe something for arthritis pain, and you don't think twice about it. But then one day, you stand up a little too quickly and feel dizzy. Or your legs feel weaker than usual. That's how it starts. Certain medications can make you feel lightheaded, drowsy, or even slow your reflexes just enough to make a fall more likely. And the tricky part? Sometimes it's not just one medication, but the way multiple medications interact with each other. For example, let's say you take something for sleep and something else for blood pressure. Each one on its own might not be a big deal. But together, they can lower your blood pressure too much, making you feel woozy when you stand up. Or maybe you take a pain reliever for arthritis. It helps with the aches, but it also makes you just a little unsteady when you walk. You don't notice it at first, until the day you step off a curb and suddenly feel off balance. Now, does this mean you should stop taking your medications? Absolutely not. But it does mean you should be aware of how they affect you, especially as your body changes over time. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking, well, I've been taking this medication for years, so it must be fine. But as we age, our bodies process medications differently. Something that never caused problems in your 50s or 60s might start to affect your balance in your 70s or 80s. So, what can you do? First, pay attention to how you feel after taking your medications. Do you ever feel dizzy when you stand up? Do your legs feel weaker than usual? Do you feel more tired during the day? If so, it might be worth talking to your doctor. And here's something that many people don't realize: they can ask their doctor for a medication review. This is when your doctor or pharmacist goes over everything you're taking to see if any of your medications might be increasing your risk of falls. Sometimes, a simple adjustment, like taking a medication at a different time of day, can make a big difference. I remember a woman named Ruth. She was 76, and one morning, she stood up from her couch and nearly collapsed. She thought she was just dehydrated, but it kept happening. Turned out, her blood pressure medication was lowering her pressure too much when she stood up. Her doctor adjusted her dose, and within a few days, she felt steady again. These little tweaks can be life-changing. And here's another thing: don't be afraid to ask your doctor if there's an alternative medication with fewer side effects. Many times, there are options that work just as well without making you feel drowsy or dizzy. Now, medication isn't the only thing that changes as we age. There's one more major reason people over 70 fall, and it's something that most people don't pay attention to until it's too late. We've covered muscle loss, balance issues, and how medications can quietly increase your fall risk. But there's one more major reason, one that's hiding in plain sight. And that's your home environment. Think about it. How many times have you walked through your house in the dark, trusting your memory to guide you? Or maybe you have a favorite rug in the living room, one that's been there for years, even though the edges curl up just a little. The truth is, most falls happen right at home. And not because of something obvious, like slipping on a wet floor. No, it's usually the little things, the things we don't even notice anymore because we've lived with them for so long. Take, for example, a staircase. Maybe you've gone up and down it a million times. But one day, you're carrying a laundry basket, and you don't see that last step. You misjudge the height, and suddenly, you're off balance. Or maybe it's a small throw rug in the hallway. You've walked over it for years without thinking twice. But one evening, your foot catches the edge, and in a split second, you're on the floor. Even something as simple as getting out of bed can be risky. Let's say it's the middle of the night, and you need to use the bathroom. You stand up too quickly, and your blood pressure drops for just a moment, enough to make you feel lightheaded. And because the room is dark, you don't see that slipper lying on the floor until it's too late. These kinds of accidents happen more often than people realize. But the good news? They're some of the easiest to prevent. One of the simplest things you can do is improve the lighting in your home. Many falls happen because people can't see where they're going, especially at night. A small motion-activated nightlight in the hallway or bathroom can make a huge difference. And those rugs? As much as we love them, they can be dangerous. If you have any rugs that slide easily or have curled edges, it might be time to remove them or at least secure them with non-slip backing. Another common culprit? Clutter. Now, I know, we all have things we love to keep around. But a stack of magazines on the floor, a small stool in the hallway, or even a pet's food bowl can become a tripping hazard. I knew a man named George. He was 82 and very independent. But one day, he tripped over a power cord in his living room and broke his hip. He later told me, that cord was always there, I just never thought about it. After that, he and his daughter went through his house and made a few simple changes, taping down cords, rearranging furniture, and adding better lighting. He never had another fall. These small adjustments might seem like a hassle at first, but they can save you from a life-changing injury. Now, there's one final piece to this puzzle, one last thing that can make all the difference in staying steady and safe. And it's something you might not expect. So far, we've talked about muscle loss, balance issues, medications, and even the hidden dangers in your own home. But there's one last factor that plays a huge role in fall risk, something most people overlook. And that's footwear. Now, you might be thinking, really? My shoes? But yes, the wrong footwear can increase your risk of falling more than you'd imagine. And I'm not just talking about high heels or flip-flops. Even the everyday shoes you've worn for years might not be doing you any favors. Let's start with worn-out shoes. You know that pair of sneakers you've had forever? They might be comfortable, but over time, the soles wear down. That means less grip on the floor, making it easier for you to slip, especially on smooth surfaces like tile or hardwood. Then, there are shoes that lack support. Some slippers, for example, feel cozy, but they're often too loose or have slick bottoms. Walking around in them might feel fine, until you hit a patch of uneven flooring or need to make a quick step. That's when trouble starts. I once met a woman named Eleanor, a vibrant 78-year-old who loved baking. One afternoon, she was in her kitchen wearing her usual house slippers when she slipped on a tiny bit of flour she hadn't noticed on the floor. Her foot slid forward, and before she knew it, she was on the ground with a fractured wrist. It wasn't the flour that caused the fall, it was her shoes, which had no traction. And then there's going barefoot. Now, I get it, many people prefer walking around without shoes, especially at home. But here's the thing, as we age, the fat pads on the bottoms of our feet thin out. That means less natural cushioning and support. Without proper shoes, your feet have to work harder to maintain balance, increasing the risk of missteps. So, what should you wear instead? The best shoes for fall prevention are ones that fit snugly, but not too tight, have a firm heel, and offer good traction. Look for rubber-soled shoes with non-slip bottoms. A slight arch support also helps keep your foot in a stable position, preventing those little wobbles that can lead to a fall. And here's a small but important tip: check your laces. Shoes that tie can be great for support, but loose laces are a hidden hazard. If you wear lace-up shoes, make sure they're snug and secure, or consider switching to Velcro or slip-on shoes with good grip. It might seem like a small detail, but the right footwear can make all the difference in keeping you steady and safe. Now, let's take a moment to reflect. We've covered all 4 major reasons why 90% of falls happen after 70: muscle weakness, balance problems, medications, home hazards, and footwear. But just knowing the risks isn't enough. The real key is taking action. Because here's the truth: falls are not an inevitable part of aging. They're preventable. And by making a few small adjustments, staying active, reviewing your medications, making your home safer, and wearing the right shoes, you can stay strong, steady, and independent for years to come. So, here's my challenge for you: take a look around your home today. Check your shoes. Think about one small change you can make right now to reduce your fall risk. Maybe it's clearing a cluttered hallway, adding a nightlight, or retiring that old pair of slippers. Whatever it is, take that first step today. And if this video has helped you, share it with a friend or loved one. Because staying steady and safe isn't just about you, it's about keeping the people you care about safe too. Thank you for watching, and remember, you are stronger, steadier, and more capable than you think. Keep moving, keep thriving, and most importantly, stay safe.